Hi there and welcome back to another one of my short videos on the Bitcoin chart. I'm hoping to start charting a few other coins in the near future, but for the time being, I'm sticking to Bitcoin. As I told you in the last video, I went ahead and I bought some Bitcoin, not much, very little actually, just a small purchase, just to basically proof of concept. My son and myself have sort of gone halves on a purchase. So he gets half, I get half. And as it turns out, I bought precisely at what I would say was the right time. I bought in at $6,275 on another exchange on cex.io. Which was a good price at that time on the exchange. And as you can see now, let me just show you what it is trading at right now, 6,659. So it's doing very well. But let's have a look at where Bitcoin is going. I've got it quite enlarged now. We're looking at a 1 hour chart. As you can see, we have hit just a little while ago $6,734 roughly, give or take a few dollars. But this yellow line here is a resistance line that I have had drawn in there for quite a while now. That sits at $6,690 roughly. So as you can see, we've had a really nice jump in the Bitcoin price, and I've been waiting for it to test this resistance level. As you can see, we popped through it very briefly just now. We've got some really nice volume, a rise in volume. What is this? The MACD and the stochastics RSI are looking very good. The MACD is, as you can see, is pointing upwards, which is a very bullish sign at the moment. It mustn't go too far, otherwise we will get into the overbought area and we will get a sell-off. Or we can actually expect a little bit of a sell-off after this nice rise. Some people will take profits. The stochastics RSI is also entering the overbought territory, but it is looking very positive. It is outside of the call it the trading band, if you'd like to call it that. When it goes above 80, we consider it overbought, and we start looking for it to turn and turn down a little bit. As you can see, we've been high in this area for a little while now. It comes down, and as it touches roughly the 80% mark or just below it, it turns back up again. Or maybe not 80%, just the 80. So as you can see, all things are looking very good at the moment. So what does this mean for us going forward? Well, let me change to, I think maybe a 4 hour chart will get us there. Let me just check. I'm going to decrease the size of this just a little bit, and we're going to bring this. Oh shit, now I've messed it up. Okay, I am going to have to just change to a 1 day chart quickly to correct that line that I've just moved. Get rid of these. Let's make it smaller. I need to put that line back where it belongs. It was roughly there. Okay, that's fine. I think we might just keep it as a 1 day chart. I'll just increase the size a little bit and stretch it a little bit. Right. As you can see, we are sitting in a zoomed out view. We are sitting basically on this resistance level. Now, I expected when it got to that resistance level, first of all, I expected it to get there eventually, which it did. And I expected it to test that level. We popped through it and have dropped back down. I expect that we are going to go through that resistance level today. What that means is that once we've actually broken through it and stayed through it for a reasonable amount of time, there's nothing stopping it now going and testing this resistance level. This is call it the edge of my wedge, triangle, or flag, whatever you'd like to call it. Once we break out of that, then I think we are going to head at quite a decent pace. I've just made some notes while I was preparing my little video here quickly. judging by what it's done and what it's done overnight, I am looking at round about near the end of the month. We are already at the 21st. I would say no more than another 5 to 8 days at the very most. Could even be sooner. We are going to test and break through this resistance level. Once we do that, we might see it break out above this resistance level and then come back and test it as a brief sell-off. I mean, a rise from the level where we are now to break this resistance level is a decent rise, and we can expect some people to take some profits. So we might see it break through that level, and then people start taking a little bit of profits. But we'll come and we'll test this. Remember, once we've broken through the resistance level, once we're on the other side of it, it becomes a support level. So we might come and test that level again for a brief period. I don't think it's going to be too long. And then I think the market is going to turn, and then we are going to head. And as I've been saying all along, it is probably going to head for around anywhere between 8,500 to as high as possibly 10,000, maybe even a little bit more. Not likely, but it is possible. But we are looking at, I think, within the next, let's see, is the 21st today. I reckon at the most another 5 to 8 days. So call it the 29th. By the 29th, we should have broken through this resistance level, and then maybe in 4 or 5 days after we've broken through it, it will come down and test it, and then the market is going to turn. And then I would say the first week, maybe extra couple of days, but basically the first week of October, we are going to see a nice rise up to roughly anywhere between, call it $8,000 and $10,000. I would say 8,500, 8,600 to 9,500 is highly likely, but it could even be higher. I'm not prepared to forecast higher than that or give timelines on that, but once we reach this peak here, this is going to be a very important peak in my opinion, because I think from there we can expect a really decent sell-off. The price is going to drop decently, possibly to the levels we are at now, maybe even a tiny bit lower. But once the market reaches the bottom there and turns, we are going, basically, it won't be a straight line up, but we are going to head up to levels at least what we saw last year in December. So it's going to be an uphill run all the way through to December this year, and we are probably going to see levels anywhere between 15 and 18,000, highly probable $18,000, and possibly even higher than what we saw last year at $20,000. It is quite possible, but I think at least call it $15,000 to $18,000, somewhere in that range, probably around the same time we saw the peak last year, which is around the 19th of December, the latter half of December. I think that is where we're going. Things are looking really good for Bitcoin at the moment. It is looking like we are going to break out on the upside of this flag. Look, if it breaks out on the bottom side of this flag, then the rules all change. But so far, as you can see, this new trend line that we formed, that is slightly steeper up than the bottom of the flag. The bottom of the flag is basically flat. This new trend line, it has been obeying that trend line, and it is now starting to stray away from it. We might see it come down again. I doubt it. Not directly to it or not to touch it, but it might come down a little bit. We might break through, as I said, we might break through this resistance level, but then we might just come back and test it again, and from there go. But I don't think that is going to take too long. So at the very most, worst case scenario, assuming that it breaks out on the upside, worst case scenario is that theoretically it wouldn't take longer than the end of October to break out of here. But I mean, once it gets into the the sharp corner, you can call it, of the flag. There's no room for the price to move, actually. It's got to go. I mean, once it gets into here, there's no way it can go up or down. And that signifies that we are going to break out somewhere. The longer it takes, obviously, the greater the chances. So that is my take on Bitcoin at the moment. Yeah, everything seems to be going the way I see it happening, the way I predict it's going to happen. This rise that we had last night is very encouraging to me, and I think we're going to see a little bit more of it. And it looks to me at the moment like we are passing that resistance level at the moment. Could be wrong, but let me just enlarge this slightly so we can see. Yeah, we are actually sitting on top of that resistance level right now. I think we are going to break through it today and possibly just come down very briefly to test it again, and then we might just carry on. Once we are established above that resistance level, remember, it becomes a support level. As I said, we might test it once again, but then there is nothing stopping it going up and testing this resistance level. And once we pass that, then we need to look for, like I said, a small sell-off and a rise to a high before the sell-off starts, before the proper sell-off starts. And at that point, I think, well, I know I am going to sell my Bitcoin at that point. And then I'm going to wait for the major sell-off to finish. And hopefully I'll choose the bottom wisely, and I'm going to buy back in. And then I'm going to ride the price. I might even buy in more at that bottom price. And then I'm going to ride it up probably all the way till late December, maybe early January, before we see another sell-off happen. This whole market cycle happens in waves, and we can see that we are now starting exactly the same wave that we rode in December last year, or not only December, the whole run up to December. But I think the timeline might be slightly shorter, might be slightly more compressed for this. I think obviously what happened last year with the Bitcoin price made a lot of people some money. It made a lot of people excited. The news got out, and if all of these people now get wind that this is happening again, they're going to be there's going to be less resistance. They will pose less resistance to get in and actually buy, which means things are going to happen quicker, and that the timeline is going to be shorter. That is my take on Bitcoin today. Briefly, Dignity, we have got absolutely no news. Maybe I'm a little bit disappointed, I must admit. It's been way too long now, seeing that they did promise to give us news once a week at one stage, not too long ago. And going without news, without any word whatsoever, for so long is really not good, in my opinion. It doesn't bode well for confidence in the token. And I know it has been said that confidence in the token, the general altcoin market, and even Bitcoin, the influence that Bitcoin has on the general market, will not have any bearing on the price of Dignity once everything is happening. Well, I wish they'd tell us what is happening, because, well, nobody knows, and it's reflecting in the price now. The price has dropped really low. I would hate to have to sell off some of my Dignity right now to supplement my income. This should have happened long ago, and I should have been earning a decent income from my holdings up until now. And to sell some now for some capital, some income, is really, really not a good thing, because the price is low, and by selling now, I'm giving up a huge amount of profits in the time to come, once they actually do get their act together and get this ball rolling. So no news. They say no news is good news. I'm hoping that's the case, but it's really not. It's not nice for anybody to sit and wait like this. I think everybody has been pretty patient. Obviously, there have been a few people that are really not patient at all, and they've spread a lot of FUD and bad news, or tried to spread a lot of FUD and bad news in the groups, especially the Telegram group. But yeah, I stay away from the Telegram group. I try and just pass over there every now and again and just skim through it. What I do is every few days I'll go there. I'll skip right to the latest message, and then I will scroll back maybe a few hundred messages and just look at the last 100 or 200 messages, and basically I'll get the gist of what is happening, because I really don't have the time to sit and read all the crap that these people talk in those groups and take part in the arguments, because there's always arguments. So I just don't have time for that. Anyway, this has gone on long enough. I'm happy with Bitcoin, and well, I've made made a decent profit already with the little purchase that I made. I am happy. I'm waiting for us to break out of this flag now and find that high point where I'm going to get out of the market and wait for the proper dip. That should at least increase my holdings by 40% or so, I think, at the end of the day, if I time the getting out point and the getting back in point correctly. I will keep you up to date, and hopefully we get some news on the arbitrary dignity front soon. I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.